Final part. My parents looked down on my wife, not knowing she came from a wealthy family. My wife, with a neutral expression, looked at them and said, "Do you want me to prove it?" My parents started laughing hysterically, and my dad said, "I would love for you to prove it." "I'm actually curious to know how much you have in your bank account, if I'm being honest," my dad replied. Just as my wife was about to take out her phone, I grabbed her hand and told her it was okay if she didn't want to. But my wife told me she was tired of the disrespect, even though she had shown nothing but kindness to my parents. She looked at them and asked, "Which bank account do you want to see?" My dad scoffed and asked why she would need multiple bank accounts if she supposedly didn't make much. Before my dad could continue talking, my wife flipped her phone and showed $27 million in her checking account. My dad, confused, grabbed the phone and started refreshing the screen. My wife asked if they wanted to see the monthly transactions from her family's rental properties around the country. My dad was completely speechless. My wife went on to explain how her family owns shopping malls, apartment buildings, and plazas. Then she said, "Your son stopped me from calling my uncle and getting you fired from your job, but I think I'm going to go ahead and make that call after this." My dad's smile faded, and I could see that both he and my mom were embarrassed. I ended the conversation and asked them to leave our house. As soon as they left, my wife and I looked at each other, and I told her we should let it go and move on from the situation. My wife agreed, but the next day I got a call from my dad, yelling at me and telling me that my wife and the man they had tried to set me up with had been fired from their jobs. My father continued yelling, and I had had enough. I told him never to contact me again. I was hurt because, after all, they are my parents, the people who raised me. But I will not tolerate this kind of behavior. Update. I'm very grateful for the support I've received from everyone. My wife and I moved to Texas a few years ago, and now live happily with our two beautiful children. It's sad that my kids will never meet their grandparents from my side, but I'm grateful they have two wonderful grandparents who love them dearly from my wife's side. Many people have asked for her family's name so they can look it up, but she asked me to keep everything private, and I hope you all can respect that. And no, I haven't contacted my parents since. They've tried, but I know they're not going to change.